You're listening to SM Media, the home of exclusive West of Scotland Football League content. Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media West of Scotland Football Show. I'm Scott Pike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always, and I'm delighted to welcome this week's special guest. It is a pleasure to have on the manager of Maryhill, Mark Young. Mark, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure.
Scott, cheers for having me, mate. Really appreciate you coming on and have a good chat.
No worries, mate. It's been a busy weekend, obviously, but it's been a bit of a hectic weekend. Maybe, obviously, league action like in the top two divisions, certainly not as many games, but certainly a lot of stories.
Oh, that's exciting! And just looking and doing the homework for this, looking at the leagues and the divisions, it's getting crunchy, isn't it? It's getting quite juicy up there, top and bottom of the divisions. It's off, mate. Excited to get stuck into it. To be fair,
Very busy show lined up, obviously, with talking about kind of the big action over the 5 leagues and the cups. We did have a big cup. The cup final's been set in the West of Scotland. We'll get into that in a wee minute. But obviously, bit of a disappointment the weekend for Maryhill, a 2-1 defeat to Yoker that we'll get into later. It's interesting now, obviously, Maryhill are sitting in 13th after that. Maybe the advantage kind of Maryhill have got probably more is they've got 8 games to play and 6 of them at home and they kind of run in. So that they'll obviously be massive games.
but totally agree. As I've said to the boys, the last couple of weeks, it's in your hands. You know, we've got games to play. And if we go and take the points, then we don't need to worry about anybody else and what they're doing. So we've got a couple of teams that we play about us. And then a couple above that are going to be fighting for promotion and stuff like that as well. So, like everybody said, mate, no games are a shooty in. There's every game's a hard one. 3 points. So, hi, we're taking it. I'm settling the lads. We're taking it game at a time, and just trying to see where we end up at that point. To be truthfully honest,
I'm just kind of looking down the kind of the games you have had recently as well and things like that. Obviously, last week was a big result, 4-0 away to Glasgow United. There's a lot of good results in there, obviously, but it's just like, has it been that kind of run of consistency that's been the struggle?
well, look, mate, my life's a Ronan Keating song because life is a roller coaster right now. So, look, not the greatest start that we've had, up and down at points, but we went on a good run there. I think 5 or 6 wins on the trot that's kept us in contention. That's what's gave us that wee glimmer of hope. And personally, when you're sitting in my shoes, you go, right, hey, that's us. We've clicked. We're hitting gelling, and we've just hit a few wee setbacks, like suspensions, injuries, same old stories for everybody. And looking back on it, that run I probably started the same 11 5 weeks in a row, and that consistency it just gets you points. You know that we've been able to do it, and then be changing out some key personnel at times, like through no fault, like I said, injuries, suspensions, etc. It just mixes it up a bit. But like from where we were at the start of the year to where we are now, the squad depth's insane, and that's probably the most frustrating bit for myself as I go on a great place. Like I've get some right quality on the park and on the bench and sitting out as well, ready to come back in. So it's disappointing when you don't get the points. Obviously, we'll touch on Saturday later, but we always knew it was going to be difficult this year with a full rebuild. I think I was left with 2 players for the squad last year, and right now a lot of young lads. I've got about 7 or 8 that just stepped up for 20s, and then a few of my experienced lads are coming in for amateur. And stuff like that's just the way it is. So it was a bit of a season with embedding some lads in, getting them the exposure and the experience at playing at this level, and some regular game time. And look, well, I believe, and so does the rest of the staff, so do the boys as well, that we've got enough quality in there to hopefully see us over the line. But like you say, take it a game at a time, and we'll see where we end up.
Yeah, obviously the one kind of standout result was obviously going to Renfrew league leaders and win 4-0. I mean, I don't think a lot of people saw that coming, but it shows you, it must give you confidence, the fact that you can go to a place like that, and the league leaders especially, and put in a performance like that. It must give you a lot of confidence that this team's capable of that.
Oh, look, definitely. And again, I say that to the lads. It was like one other day, the style of football that we try and play as well. That like, we can go and compete with anybody. Like we beat the Rock in the cup as well,
Yeah.
5-1. So, and we've had a good wee cup success stories at times, and we've had a good adventure. Let's see that stuff. That's been great for us. The team bonding, Aberdeen, Lochair, stuff like that, and the Scottish and the South. We've had some great bus trips, and that's brought us all together. And the crazy thing is that although we've been the bottom half of that, the mood in the camp and the banter and stuff like that with the boys is crazy. We're not a team that should be at the bottom, if that makes sense. And like managers say it to us all the time when we play, they will laugh by you. You are a great team. Like you will be all right at the back end of the year. And I'm going great, but that praise doesn't get you points on the board, does it? So, we know the abilities there, the results are there. It's just that, like I say, that consistency. The young team gelling together, and anybody that's worked with young lads, they'll know that's part of the issue. One time we're world beaters, and then the next week we just don't show up. So, fully experienced that with the 20s last year as well. So, stepping into it, I'm aware of it, but we just don't have the luxury to be able to have the slips anymore. But look, funny enough, I know you said look, a lot of them are at home games. We've won 7 games and 5 of them have been away from home. So we actually, I said that last night in training. We don't win games at our home ground, or we don't make it hard enough for teams, and that's been a problem this year, and it's obviously something that we need to try and rectify. But that's when the likes of we go away to nice Astro parks and it's a known fact that we're trying to play football, so makes a difference when you're on Astro, and you can play the proper way. But look, am I happy we're at home? Yes, in that sense that we need to bring people to our neck of the woods, and we're talking about how it has to be a lot harder. As I said, look, I don't want to dive into it Saturday, but we need to make it a lot harder for teams to come and pick up points in our area. Like, I'd rather I was the Ants, put it that way, whose home form is, I think anybody would bite your hand off. So that's the aspiration. Be like the Ants at home.
Absolutely. Well, we'll obviously get into our top of the weekend later on. Let's start with the cup. The cup final of the West of Scotland has been declared. Auchinleck Talbot will play Clydebank. Talbot beat the Buffs in penalties, and Clydebank beat St Roch's 2-0 in the semi-finals. A really interesting final lined up at the end of April at Meadow Park. It's going to be a Friday night. I think it's the 27th or 28th. It was one of those days anyway. And Auchinleck, obviously, it's very rare that they have a trophyless season, but obviously they've got a chance to get a trophy on the board again, and that'll be a big occasion for them. Clydebank as well, some achievement to get to the final.
Look, totally agree, and look, let's cut to the chase. You can't put your money on anybody else other than the Talbot for their experience and being in those areas. But particularly, I don't know how long Nicky's out for, which is a big loss for the Bankies. Hopefully it's not too long and he's back for it. But I'd say the only thing that's probably in the Bankies' favour is Talbot have got a lot of games to play coming up, so there might be a good bit of fatigue that are coming in there. But look, the experience that's in that dressing room and just knowing how to win, you just can't count that out, can you?
You absolutely can as well, and it's just that big game experience that Auchinleck have, and Clydebank have went under the radar as well this season. I know they always seem to do, but I mean, I keep saying it, at the start of the season, they were in a really tough spot to get to where they are. They're sitting sixth in the league and they're into a cup final. I mean, Moff would have bit your hand off for that, but some achievement, and obviously that night, the Friday night, will be a very interesting occasion. But Premier Division, we had 4 games over the weekend, and I think we need to start with the big story. 2 big victories, 2-1 victories for Bees. First of all, on Friday night, coming from behind to beat Irvine Meadow 2-1, Monty and Fries with the goals. And then Monday night, a 2-1 away victory over Auchinleck Talbot. Again, Mark, obviously knowing this Bees side to come from where they come from this time last season, we were potentially thinking they were in a relegation battle, to now be on the verge of 3 games away from winning the league. It's been some journey.
What a turnaround, and looking at them, and they just can't stop winning, can they? So, look, we spoke briefly about it before. You look at the players they've got, and I know you didn't think they would go and challenge, but they've got some quality in that dressing room, to be fair. That you highlighted Monty there banging in the goals and the assists as well this year. Josh Fowler's been absolutely frightening. He spoke about, like, he showed glimpses of that last year, and he's just kicked on to another level this year, being super clinical and playing with confidence. I don't know what he's on, 19, 20 goals, something like that. So scary numbers. And then when you've got the likes of Danny the Janny at the back, you know what I mean, who again is a young lad, who just stepped up for 21s not that long ago, and he's got such an experienced head. And I know a lot of people talk about that. And you've got Steg in beside him, Conor McGlinchey, who's got great technical ability and probably could go higher levels. To be truthfully honest, one of the best strikers of the ball that I've seen. And then you've got Fries in the engine room, you know, that way, and the addition of him and Monty in there, they'll just complement them. So, hi, look, we were sitting there looking at it, and you're going, you never write the Talbot off, and I know Beeve have still got Talbot and Darvo to still play, and there's still games there, but it's in his hands, isn't it? So, fair play to Straney, he's got them working really well, and I'd spoke to him about just before Christmas, because I'd one of his lads that I knew well from my under-20s captain who came on loan from me, we Dino, and I think his issue was a goalkeeper, and we were looking at the games before and watching the highlights that they were scoring goals, but they were letting in some bad ones, to be honest. So the lad Owen Stott's come in really well, and the boy Scott Ruff, who I see both of them on a regular basis being nominated for man of the match. So centre half and keeper, getting so many man of the matches just shows you that you need that to get you over the lines. Like, other than like the Atherley when they've went and blown them at the water, a lot of their games have been, like, see, they're 2-1s and they're going to go down, but the belief in the changing room just must be there because they just kind of stop winning. So the lads will know, don't worry, the opportunities will come, and we've got boys that can score goals. So keep it quite tight at the back, and you've always got that chance. So looking at it, it's hard to say that they're not going to take it, but there's still a lot of football to be played, isn't there?
It's quite a massive run in as well, but they've obviously put themselves in a really good position. Darvel obviously their closest challengers at the moment. They are sitting 7 points behind. Again, they've won 4 matches in a row, but obviously they've just been a weak and inconsistent spell. They'll be hoping just to get as close as possible and try, and if Bede were to slip up, obviously they'll be hoping to pounce. But again, the 1-0 away win over Cambuslang, Scott Ferguson with the goals. They'll probably look back if Bede were to slip up, and it's looking unlikely because of, obviously, as we spoke off here, they haven't lost a game since November. If you're asking them to lose 3, it's going to be difficult. But Darvel can only do what they're doing, just keep winning games, and hopefully something goes right for them.
I will look at it. You've got the like of Fergie, who's just popped 2 match winners in the tap bin. You know what I mean? When they've got the quality in the squad to be able to do that. And look, people are talking about them beforehand. I think before the Aberdeen game, they're absolutely flying, and nobody can see anybody else winning it. And they've just done that wee down spiral because, let's face it, what a high they were on there to then, and it's hard to pick lads up after that. So Mick's done great to get the lads back in there, and like any of us, I think he's been hit with a good bit of injuries and stuff like that in the squad as well. Excuse me, that's changed it, but the quality that's in that dressing room, they'll probably be kicking themselves that it's not in their hands as such to go and win it. Because you look at the form that they had last year, I think they went 19, 20 games or something like that, unbeaten to go in the title charge. That's kind of what Talbot need now. To go and make a good bit. And look, when you look at it, Beeve have got Talbot and Darvel to play, and Talbot have got obviously Darvel to play as well. So there's still points to be won and lost there. But if you'd ask me who I'd rather be Straney sitting there with the points on the board, with the games played, with the rest playing catch up, and obviously with Talbot with the standard Talbot with the fixture backlog that they've got because they need to stop being so good in cups. Because it's killing the league in the back end. But it's one of the things, and again, we spoke about it. It's what they do. They're used to it as well. So a foolish man never writes the Talbot off. And I quickly watched the highlights of their game last night, and there's a shot, like penalty. Like Talbot said, get away. I don't know what the lad's saying. He's put him down easily in the box. But did they get one back to 2-1, and it's a bit eachy peachy, and a lot of the highlights seem to be the Alamo, just them bashing it on at the back end, just trying to get it in. So fair play, Beeve have dug it out, and Beechwood's not an easy place to go. So they go away from home there and win. And like I said, they no lose a game since November is scary, particularly how competitive that division is. and the quality that you're up against every week, it's outstanding. Isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Final result in the Premier Division at the other end of the table, a huge win for Rob Roy, a 2-1 away win over Cumbernauld. Again, Rob Roy, they've had a difficult run of form, obviously, since Stuart left. They've been struggling. They were in a really good position at the start of the season, obviously went off after the manager left. But to get that, to go to a place like Cumbernauld when you badly need a victory and get a big result like that could be huge for them.
Oh, mate, look, I totally agree. And look, I think everybody said that Maxi was probably making Rob Roy punch higher than where they should have been. It was particularly where they finished last year, absolutely ridiculous. And they then lose a boy like Truesdale as well to Darvel. You just can't replace that kind of talent in your squad either, and you feel that pain. But what a win for them in like a critical 3 points. Coming up, go 1-0 up, get a guy sent half, and the game totally changes. Like, I think Rob Roy score 83rd, 90 plus, last minute penalty. And look, sometimes they're the wee bits of luck that you just need to end your season. And what, going by the highlights, fair play to Cumbernauld. They never sat in with the 10, they went for it. And I think that's probably why Rob Roy probably hit them in a wee bit of the counter, because Cumbernauld are trying to go for it, and look, they've got some big games coming up as well. So boys are in that squad fighting for a spot for the what was it, the Scottish.
Huge game on Friday night, obviously. Yes, your rivals Glenafton that I will be at. Finally, I will be at a game, so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a big occasion at Irvine Meadow, so it'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. First Division, let's start with the game on Friday night. Again, this could have big implications for promotion. Drumchapel 0, Gartcairn 3. Love, Bowie and Aitken with the goals for Gartcairn. I don't know if you've seen the goal, particularly Darren Bowie's goal. It's one of the goals of the season. What's that?
Setting the wee pirouette and a quality finish. No, I've seen the media touting for it. To be fair, like
huge result for Gartcairn as well. Obviously, like it's now looking very much like it's going to be those 5, like the top 5, are fighting out for 3 places. That's how it looks, and that could be a huge win for Gartcairn.
It puts them in the driving seat, didn't it? But it's just exactly what we were talking about before. They've probably been a wee bit a victim of their own success this year with how well they're doing in cups. They've got a lot of games to catch up on, and playing a game, I don't care how good your squad depth is, playing a game every 3-4 days is going to take its toll out of these lads. Remember that we're all part-time and they've got jobs today as well, so it's going to be tough. But the difference is, when you've got that motivation to go and fight for a championship, it just gives you another couple of percent. It gives you extra levels, doesn't it? So that mentality to go and beat a team like the Drum, who have been frightening at times. Like, when you go, look, for me, I was looking at fixtures and you go Gartcairn, St Cads, the Drum. I think for me, one of the 3 I'm going to take it. You can't overly outright rule out the Bens, because I think they've actually got a pretty decent run in of fixtures compared to the rest, where Gartcairn have still to play the Drum again. I think they play the Drum in a cup as well. They've Drum have to play St Cads twice, so it's going to be a byway. I mean, we're nowhere near going to be finished in that, and it's going to be, as I said at the start, it's going to be super juicy. So as an absolute neutral, I mean, it's great to see, isn't it? Because when you look at last year and you had Arthurley with the Invincibles running away with it, there wasn't the same competitiveness in it, and that first division is so tight at the top and at the bottom. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Just obviously we spoke about Benburb there, a 5-2 away win over Shotts. Aaron Black scored 4, and McDonald with another goal for them. And St Cadoc's beat Rutherglen 2-0. Anderson and McKillen for goals for them. Probably looking down the kind of bottom of the table, and with looking at the Whitlets beating Kilburnley 1-0 again, just as a massive result. Whitlets are unbeaten in the last 6. I think a lot of people thought maybe Whitlets were going under the radar because they maybe just not had results go their way. They had a lot of games to catch up, but to beat Kilburnley, who were on a lot of people's minds for potentially, they still are. They still could obviously go up. They're sitting in 3rd, but to beat them 1-0 is some result.
Well, like that, and then I think they just done a back-to-back. So I think they did a draw last week against them as well. So they've went and done, like we talk about what points that as a gaffer you always look at who you're playing and where you can probably get the points. And no disrespect to Whitlets, they're probably looking at Kilburnley in the form that they're on and going, that's 2 hard games and we'll be lucky to pick up any points. But to take 4 for that, Popey's doing a great job. And look, we played them in a pre-season friendly. I know Popey well anyway, and he had a bit of a rebuild as well on him, and I think they've had 3 points off them as well.
Yeah,
I just hope that doesn't come back to bite them. But the form that they've been on after, I think they lost the cup final against Renfrew.
Should be them in penalties, yeah.
They picked right up for that, which is crazy because you go, that could be a season killer, that way that high, and then to lose at home pens and just drop you. But he's kicked them right on, and they've been raided a wee touch as well. I think a few boys went in the meadow and stuff like that as well.
Irvine, yeah.
So to get in there and get that, mate, and to come in and still get your results, fair play to Popey, and they've proved that they're no mugs, and people have been saying that all year. And the bits that I was talking to him earlier on, he was saying that they're scoring goals. They're just conceding very, very stupid, silly goals. And he was like, if we can eradicate that, we'll be all right. And by the looks of it, that's what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Final result in there, Cumbernauld 2, Johnston 1. Big result for Cumbernauld, obviously. They've got their second one in a row since Chris and Jamie took over. And Cumbernauld, they'll just be wanting to get a run on the board. They've got 7 games between now and the end of the season. They'll just be wanting to get safety.
So right, and again, and I know Jamie well at the Borough as well, and he'll be gutted, to be truthfully honest. And I know I've heard his interview, and he is. The last couple of weeks there, I think it was, who was it last week? They could beat last week, Rutherglen, I think, last week, and they go and win both of their games, and they'll probably get a distant shout to try and pip a spot. And with the budget that he's got, competing for me with the teams, what a season he's done with him. But he'll not be happy. He'll not be happy because that's what we were talking about, games that you think you can go and win. There'll be games that he thought we can go and win. And the quality that he's got in the dressing room, he'll probably be a bit disappointed, which is even a bigger accomplishment for Cumbernauld. That way to go and win. And like we were talking about Kilburnie and stuff like that earlier, I've not seen the boy Scully on their lineups for quite a while, who's a quality lad.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's been a wee bit of the downfall to try and lose a boy like that. But they still get Slick, who's a goal scoring machine, man. And it's crazy. But going back now, Cumbernauld will be great, particularly losing management. There's always a hard rocky place, and that division is so unforgiving. So you don't really have a grace period to come in and cut your teeth in it. So a massive 3 points for them that they'll look back at and go, hey, that might just have what saved our season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move into the second division. We'll start obviously with Maryhill. 1-0 up at half time over Yoker, but a 2-1 defeat. Yoker McKenna and a penalty, giving them a big 3 points. But your overall kind of takeaways for the game, getting in at half time of the league, it's obviously a big disappointment not to get a point out of the game at least.
Oh, I agree. Look, I'm obviously going to be exceptionally super biased and go, look, particularly the first half. I thought we were on a wee bit cruise control, and I'm a bit annoyed, and I'm saying to the boys at the dressing room, look, 2-3-0, we should probably be in there, and we've just not taken our chances and killed it off. And as you can see in the other games, the amount of teams this week that have went 1-up and come back and have lost the game is crazy. And look, that's what's happened. Look, I'm not saying we get complacent or anything like that. We've no. We started the second half fairly decent as well, when that penalty just changed the game. And if I'm brutally honest, I think we crumbled a wee bit after we got that goal, which I'm talking to lads and going, I don't understand, because we play most of our games a goal down. So we're at 1 each and it's still a draw. So don't worry about it. But I think it gave Yoker the lift. And look, it's cliche and we always talk about it. People have chances to kill games off, and if you don't take them, and the team nick a wee goal, it gives them the lift and it gives them that hope that they can come back into it. And look, in probably the last 25 minutes, I'd say Yoker came at us. Where they got that lift, they got that buzz. And I've went for it as well, to be fair. I've replaced 4 attacking players and we went it, because I'm sitting there going, I should have 3 points here on my first half performance, and a draw felt like a defeat at that point. So I've went all guns blazing, and look, I've died by the sword, and I've not taken anything for the game as well. And I'll look back at the decisions I make, the change of formations, and the boys that I put on, and at key moments at the time. And sometimes it works for you. I think it worked for me in Glasgow United earlier on. We were 2-1 down. I make these changes. The 2 boys go in and score, and we win 3-2. So not as blasé as you win some, you lose some, but sometimes when you're where we are, like I would take the point now in hindsight, but no, I had to go for the 3 and look. It was a killer blow for a corner that maybe wasn't a corner. But on the 89th minute, and I'm still talking to the lads, we don't defend the throw in that leads to the corner properly in the first place, and then it's a free runner that scores. So, but disappointing. But again, we're talking about last year's Scottish Cup finalists. I know it's not the full same team, but the experience they've got in the dressing room as well in there. They're a good side and they're no mugs, and we've seen that. They battered Perthshire 6-1 the other couple of weeks ago, so it's just what we've got in the division. So overall, I super disappointed coming from a winning position to get beat, but I'm going there, at this point I'm going there the breaks. I'm trying to forget about it and move on to next week, because there's no point living in the past, is there?
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, another kind of big result at that end of the table was Ardea beating Wishaw 5-0 away from home. Long Stevenson with doubles and a goal from Wardrobe. That's a huge result for Ardea. Obviously, takes them above you in goal difference. But again, it just shows you just how tight that league is. I mean, Ardea, Wishaw have been in a decent run as well. A few weeks ago, Ardea have been looking for a victory. It just shows you a big 5-0 result can just have a massive kind of change in the table.
I'd be lying if I said I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't give them a drag and kick them on. But again, like Sean, I speak to on a regular basis as well. Great guy, and what he's done over the years with them has to be commended. So I don't begrudge him the win. Obviously, I'm like, great, and they've went and earned it. And you go into particular, I think they were 0-0 at half time as well. So they've went and had a great second half. And the things that I'm talking about before, they came to our bit. They were 1-0 up, and they should have been again 2 or 3. The game should have been done, and they never killed it. They gave us a bit of hope, and we finished the game with 10 men and won 4-1. So, I don't mean to talk about us in their game, but just saying that's what happens. And they're a right good side, and they've got some quality players in there as well. And obviously, it's just clicked on the day for them as well. So. And not that long ago, I think they beat Yoker 3-0 a couple of weeks ago as well. So that they've shown that they can go and handle themselves. And as is everybody, top beat bottom, and the results have been crazy in the division. But a lot of football to be played. My only saving grace is we're equal points, and I think we've got a game in hand on them. So again, another team that's had the -3 points, whatever it is, an eligible player or whatever. And again, that could be quite painful for him. So, and I'm not even going to lie and say I hope it doesn't come back to bite him, because I hope it does. If it means that I'm stepping near him to get safety, then that's the brutal reality of the situation that we're in. But they've made it super juicy for us. And look, Wishaw and mugs either hard place to go to. And they set up their shop really, really well. So for them to go and lose 5 goals, I can only imagine that they've went gung ho, because they know how important the game is, and Ardea have just soaked it up and picked them apart on the counter. But I could be completely wrong there, and Ardea have just went into another level.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just run through some of the other games as well. Renfrew beat Craigmart 2-1 on Friday night. Craigmart were 1-0 up. Goals from McLennan and Diver gave the league leaders the victory. Ashfield, Johnny Black scored a hat-trick in a 6-0 win over Glasgow United. Big game, obviously, was between Maybole and Glasgow Perthshire. Glasgow Perthshire 2, Maybole 3, a double from Riley. Just the kind of top 3 now, Renfrew, Ashfield and Maybole. You look at Maybole when they've got 3 games to make up in Renfrew and they're 10 points behind. And again, Maybole are on such a good run. They've kind of been under the radar because obviously they've had a lot of games to play, but they've just been going about their business carefully, and they could be in a really good position now.
Yeah, look, I was at the game on Friday night, and Carlo was there as well, so had a good chat to him, and he was saying I think they've won 7 or 8 1-0 games, that way. So just by keeping those clean sheets, and a couple of them being really late goals. I know their 1-0 victory against us was maybe in the last 10 minutes that they scored, and the same the other week there, they've scored in the dying elements of the game as well. So look, a great experienced team, and when you look at the likes of Maybole and probably Renfrew, I'd say the 2 of them they probably get Division 1 level players and squads in that sense, and look, that shows, and that's why they're there. Again, you can't even I know people have spoke about who they think was going. It was between Renfrew and Ashfield, I think, for a long while, and I was sitting there going, "Hey, everybody's just like you said, they've just forgot about Maryhill because they were so far down there with loads of games in hand." So again, I think they got a -3 for an ineligible player, so that'll be painful for them. But they've still to play Renfrew twice, so. And actually, fair play to Kenny, because the last game of the season is Maryhill Renfrew, which could turn it to be an absolute title decider. So, they've got the quality and experience there. And as I look, I was there on Friday night. For me, I thought Craigmark were actually good value for the 1-0 at the point, and then Jimmy made a couple of subs, and it just changed the game in its head. Renfrew got that goal, got that bit of hope we're talking about. And then Divers was very good, and as you can see, like 9th consecutive goal. The lad's a goal machine, and he's an absolute threat. So high tough. And lastly, that Ashfield, I speak to Michael quite a lot about Ashfield, and an unsung hero, to be fair, from what he's done to go and compete with they two, and probably, let's face it, budget differences as well. His two standouts have to be Bobby Barr and Johnny Black, who anytime we've played them, they've been different class. Just that bit of experience that they've had and the quality in the ball has been game changing, and they're just so lethal. Particularly Johnny Black, like the lad can strike a ball, particularly for distance. So, and I've said he plays a 9 and a 10. He plays both roles. That he plays so high, drops in, and just does a link play. They're a great team. To be fair. And I'm excited to see how that pans out at the top, but brutally honest, my eyes are at the bottom rather than at the top of that division. So, but there's still loads to be played for in there, and I would hate to try and call it, mate. To be truthfully honest, at who's going to take it, I think the Renfrew Maryhill games will probably be the decider.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, St Anthony's as well, obviously a big mention for them, a 3-2 home win over Kilsyth. They just, again, going about the business slowly. Coming back, they lost the last 2 games as well to get a big 3 points here as well. And you've mentioned about their home record. Fourth in Muirkirk drew 1 each in the other game in the second division, but it's a very, again, just like every other league, you'll know yourself, very, very competitive at all ends of the table.
So fine margins, and again, look, I think fourth have scored dying elements to the game, 90 odd. We young Jay Keenan, who just stepped up for 20s, who's bagged a lot of goals as well. So, really competitive fourth, decent team, Muirkirk. Very good as well. And they've had quite a hard season, to be fair, with the managerial changes and stuff like that as well. So, fair play to them for sticking out. You probably think if they've had that stability, they'd probably be a wee bit higher. And then look, they turned us over twice, particularly the first game at the start of the year, and they annihilated us, just punished us and showed us that experience that they've had. And when you look at Muirkirk from old to where they are now, like a good change around. Kind of like our deal that we're talking about, Sean, two very good teams that have kind of turned the history around, and they're two right competitive squads. So look, low a football to be played in that division, and some exciting ties still to be played.
Absolutely. Third division, just run through the results. Ardrossan 11, Saltcoats 2, Vale of Clyde 2, Irvine Vicks 1, Larkhall 5, Les Mahago 4, Lanark 1, Lugar 0, Dalry 4, Royal Albert 1, Kello 0, Vale of Leven 2, Kaluk 3, Fanart 0, Port Glasgow 2, Bells Hill 1, and East Kilbride 2, Girvan 2. Ardrossan 11 goals, Mark Curra with 6. Again, when you've got a guy like that, it just shows you just how good that side is, and they look pretty good to be potentially going up.
Look, that and a lad Aidan Ferris as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like to have 2 of your lads being the 2 top scorers in the division speaks volumes for it, doesn't it? So I don't care who you're playing against. To score 11 goals in one game is ridiculous. So fair play to them. I'd say the Winton's only downfall this year is maybe that they've not won games against who's challenging them, and that's probably the big issue. Look, so again, looking at it, and I know where you're going. I think, look, Vale, Vicks, and Winton are probably going to be the 3, just in what order. And you can't see past the Vale now after that victory that they've just won there.
Yeah, and did you hit Jink as well? Obviously, Colin going to Atherley and John Hughes coming in. that would have maybe put them off their stride, but they've just kept going. And again, a big win against Irvine Vicks and Tom Sinclair scoring again. It just shows you that they're in such a good run.
Like they've scored in great moments as well, so I think they get the second just before half time. So to give you that cushion, is crazy. And again, I watched the highlights. 16 minutes worth of highlights. That's ridiculous, right? For anybody doing this rule that has to try and catch it. But the Meadow had a right. Not the Meadow. The Irvine had a right go at it. To be fair, in the second half, and they've scored maybe in about the hour mark and made it quite crunchy, and it's been end to end. Must have been great to be a spectator, but how you would imagine it. But look, the lads know how to win. Look, sometimes I think when they're in that kind of form, the squad's probably picking itself. You know what I mean? The starting 11's probably just going in, and you maybe get that new manager buzz as well, where everybody's going, "Hey, now's my moment" to try and get back in the squad as well. So even the fringer are on fire, so it just brings the levels of training and the environment back up. So again, like we spoke about with other teams, what might hamper them is they've got so many games to play, because again, how great they've been in the cups as well. They've taken some scalps this year, Vale, but to play so many games, I think they've got fixtures now every 3 or 4 days. I mean, and that's ridiculous. So it's just whether or not they've got that depth to be able to go and see it through. And I think, to be fair, I think Irvine are the same, but they've got to play. I've checked in there, and I think Winton have got Vale and Lanark to play, which is going to be, because Lanark are still in there as well. Yeah. So it's tight. But Winton have got the points on, and I think for a long time there, it was kind of like Maybole that we were talking about earlier. People have just forgotten about Vale and maybe the Vicks because they had their games in hand, and then now they're just churning out wins. Vale with Sinclair, and then the Vicks with the boy, I think it's Kevin Adam, who's scoring loads of goals as well for them. So you're sitting there going, hey, when you've got a goal machine in your squad, it changes games for you, and you just keep them on apart, and hopefully he'll produce the goods at some point for you. But really exciting. When you look at all of them, I think it's been a long time since conferences, divisions, whatever has been this tight, like all over the place, and as an absolute, like that. It's one of the caveats you say, but as a neutral, it's really interesting to be involved in, to see how it's going to pan out. And I would hate to call it, right, because you always look with egg in your face, but I just kind of see that the run that the Vale are on now. I think they're probably going to pip it, and the other two are fighting for the last couple, or the other 3 or 4 are fighting for the last promotion spots. To be honest, but hey, I wouldn't like to be a gambling man, put it that way.
Very, very interesting. Just like, I mean, it just shows you, even like results as well, like Lanark beating Lugar, you'd get your money's worth at Larkhall as well, 5-4 between them. Ryan Carlin scoring a double for the hosts. Peter Hager
3-0 up as well. 3-0 up, back to 4 each. So
I think there was a lot of goals in the second half, I think, in that game. So it just shows you very, very tight. And that's what we want. We want to see tight games. You want to get your money's worth if you're a neutral as well. Peter Haggerty scoring a hat-trick for Dalry, 4-1 win. Big win for Vale, even beating Kellow 2-0, Thackeray Ross there. Port Glasgow are now up to 7th with that victory over Bellshill. And Carluke as well, probably a huge victory, probably one of the results of the weekend, actually beating Fanat 3-0. So all to play for in the 3rd division. 4th division, we're nearly at the end of that. There's only one, a lot of teams have kind of near enough played the last game, a couple with a few games left to play, but Threave Rovers are the side that are going to be playing in the 3rd division next season. They beat the champions West Park United 3-0. Goals from Brotherston, Thompson and Potts. Again, Threave Rovers, big kind of switch coming from the south last season to get promoted in their first season. It's what they wanted, it's what they've got, and it's a big achievement.
A big gamble for them as well, but if you're honest, probably should have, because of the setup and the structure that you've got. You would expect them to come into the 4th and maybe actually challenge for the top spot a bit more than what they have. But they've shown the quality they've got by going wiping the floor with West Park. So I'm looking at it, and I'm actually a wee bit disappointed for Jidey at St Peters, to be fair, because I'm looking at their results and they've went and they've beat everybody else. They've just not beat. think they've been beat off West Park twice, Clydebank twice, and then once they beat Threave and then get beat off them as well. So you're going to lose 5 games and then just miss it in promotion. And to be fair, he's getting pretty much a 2004 team, a team that could still be playing under 20s, and the football that they play is great. So disappointed for them, but it just shows you the quality there. And you've got Wee Bailey and with Clydebank as well, which gets all the headlights for them. So, mate, three very good teams that actually I wouldn't be surprised if they went and kicked on again. I think when they go up into the third, the 3 of them will be up there fighting at the top. So it's not going to be easy for anybody next year in that zone. But I think I'm looking at it and going, what, Thorn 4-3 as well, BSC. Thorn, a team I know well, local. They've had a hard time this year because they've not really had the home ground, so a lot of the work being done and being built, but doing it the right way, know that way, joining in, but now going to have their own area. And I'll tell you one thing, they've got a great youth team coming through. The 2006s are unreal. I think they're going to potentially going to win a quadruple this year. So personally, I think they'll go and take the 20s by storm. I've seen them a couple of times playing, and I know Barry's using them this year quite a lot to get that experience. So, and look, everybody knows their record in an amateur environment, so they'll be a right top side next year, and probably forward notice. I want to tip. I think that will go and right compete next year. So, and then lastly, you've got Easterhouse and Campbelltown. So hard place to go to. I think Campbelltown are good at home and not so great when they travel. So Easterhouse to go and get there with a wee bit of the turmoil they've had with managers changing is good. But what's great to see is they've got a great under-20s as well, I think, who are romping their league. So it's great when you go seeing you've got these teams that have stepped in for the amateur environment that have got a great youth pathway, and lads are really coming through and getting the opportunity. That's what the football is about, isn't it? So it's teams like that you're actually going, hey, the pyramid scheme's getting nice, it's getting juicy, it's really competitive, and the Division 4 have showed this year how well they've done in cup football. That actually they're no mugs. It's not a division of Muppets. They've been really, really competitive, and they've taken some big scalps along the way. So, it's strange that it's over already, but isn't it? They're done already, and you're sitting there going, we're talking about guys with 15 games still to play and their season's finished. So it's a wee bit strange for them. I know the guys at Eglinton and stuff like that, and who are now just trying to jack up a couple of friendlies, and they're doing a lot of stuff outside it. So, in fairness to these teams that have come in the 4th division, a lot of them have got right good ambitions to get good proper setups and kick on. So it's not just it's another conversation, but my only worry is I've got a wee fear for the amateur side of the game, where a lot of the competitiveness is falling away, and I think a lot of associations are trying to merge together to try and keep it up. So it's kind of the same as when they started the 20s. The 20s Lowland League kind of killed the under 21s league as such as well. So, and now we're seeing that with the West being opened, and it's killing off the amateur game a wee bit as well. When look, as a guy like me, we know a lot of budget and stuff like that. I go and try and attract players for the amateur world. It makes it really hard as well to attract boys for teams that can actually stay with it. But you go, hey, fair play. That's the name of the football, and it actually shows that there's some loyalty still out there with lads and clubs. So, only going forward, we'll see who comes in. I know you were talking a wee bit before, but see who joins it at the start of the year if allowed going forward next year.
Absolutely, yeah. Obviously, like with Maryhill, 8 games left between now and the end of the season. 6 of them at home that we touched on just a wee while ago. It's going to be a massive run, and obviously safety is the priority. But you look at it, it's going to be pretty much kind of every weekend. It's going to be really, really kind of huge games. It must be good to be thinking about as well. But it must be exciting every weekend knowing that there's a massive game in front of you.
I don't know if exciting is the word that I would use. I don't think it's the word my missus would use. Mate, it's brutal, to be truthfully honest. Like the pressure that you feel and the change. Like I'm sure every manager will say the same. It consumes your life. I think this is my full-time job, and my actual job's part-time. for everything that you need to do, and my family feel the pain as well. When we win, it's absolutely great, and the highs are massive. When we get beat, like, nobody talk to me. I'm not interested at all. So, and then you don't really get that high again until you win. But look, that's it. Like, you want to be in this. You want to be playing football where games mean something, and you're no in there, and you're just showing up, and the results don't matter. The results definitely matter, and like you say, we've got a lot of games to be played. We've got a good couple of games in hand on teams about there. We've to play teams about it. So I'm sitting there going, no, that I'm not worried. I'm going, it's in our hands, like I said earlier. So it's just up to me and the boys to get that bit of form that we've already shown, and get that ability, and just see us out over the line. We always said at the start of the year that this was about staying in the division and rebuilding the squad. And I've been fortunate enough that the majority of the lads that I've got have signed on for next year. A couple others, and then obviously at this point you're looking at who else you're bringing in. So I don't have the same rebuild that I have hopefully going forward next year, assuming it's still me next year and all that jazz as well. But look, the committee have been great this year. They fully understand that they know the drill as well. So and we're doing a lot of stuff on the outside, getting a new dressing room built and stuff like that as well. So just to try and get that ethos and that feel about the club, but everybody's got unsung heroes behind it. But I know firsthand the work that we hate committee members. They're horrible and they're a pain in the arse. But the work that they do behind the scenes is unreal, and mine are no different. The team's class, and they're like family. Right now, I talk to them more than I talk to my kids. So, we're really excited about what's going on. And look, see, to be honest, I just want to get safety out of the line, like anybody in my position is, and then just get the focus and kicking on. And I genuinely look. I think we've got enough in the squad in the dressing room to get us over the line. And look, if I never felt that, then there's no point in me being here. And so does the rest of the staff. And well, I said earlier, we're just taking a game at a time, mate. And I think we've got enough to get us over the line. But what I don't want to be doing is opening up my phone on a Saturday and looking to see what other people's results are and going, oh, who's done us a favour this week. It's so important that we just get the points regularly on it. And we've I think there's only two teams that we've not faced, and it's Kilside and Craig Mark. Again, that's why I was there on Friday night watching them. So other than those two, the other teams are known entities. We know what we're up against. So, and we've proven already this year that we can go and compete at these levels. It's the consistency, and I've spoken about consistency within the squad, even the consistency within halves. That's been massive for this year. One half have been absolutely great, and the other half have been non-existent, and that's kind of what's killed us at different moments in the season. And a bit like I was talking about Witless earlier, about we were just losing really, really silly, naive goals at the start of the year, and we've went through a spell of cutting that out, thankfully. But occasionally it creeps in here and there, like everybody. You take a wee bit of solace when you see all the big teams as well with shock results, and you go, oh, great, it happens to them as well. It's not just us, but you just feel it. You feel it a lot more when there's so much on the line as well. So, no, look, to touch back on it, I hate it, but we win a day if we don't love it, mate. And exciting to go through. But look, mate, I just want to get safe and then go back to enjoying myself and planning pre-season and making the lads run for good. But I know we'll see what happens. But hopefully 3 points on Saturday, and then we kick on from there.
Mark, it has been an absolute pleasure to be on the show, mate. Best of luck for the rest of the season, and thank you very much for coming on.
Scott, cheers for listening, mate. Sorry for burning your ears, mate. That's what I do.
Been a pleasure. Thanks very much to everyone that's tuned in. Please follow us on social media for consistent West of Scotland Football League coverage. And as always, subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. Thanks very much, folks. We'll see you soon. Cheers.